this was not on the public schedule. Donald Trump holding a closed-door meeting with Republican Party bosses days after blasting them for treating him unfairly. That was the reason, anyway, that Donald Trump used for essentially tearing up his pledge to support anyone who wins the nomination. No word yet on what happened in that meeting. Meantime, it seems Republican National Committee officials are becoming more and more convinced that nobody will score the delegates needed for that nomination. The RNC just launched this brand new convention facts website, and here it is. It has all sorts of information on how an open convention would work. That's what they're calling it now. Not contested, but open. Something that's looking more and more likely day by day. The RNC meeting is just one of Donald Trump's sit-downs today. Earlier, he met with the foreign policy team. That's after Donald Trump made headlines worldwide, blasting the Geneva Conventions and the long-standing rules of war. Then last night, Trump refused to rule out using nuclear weapons in Europe. He also said women should face some sort of punishment for having abortions if the U.S. ever outlaws the procedure. Both pro-choice and pro-life groups immediately blasted that comment. If anyone has ever aggravated both sides of the abortion debate in one single sentence, I can't find it until now. And Trump quickly took it all back, saying that only the doctor should be punished, that the woman is a victim. With Donald Trump holed up in meetings and Ted Cruz holding public events, the last-place rival, John Kasich, is apparently trying to fill the void. Today, he's going after the frontrunner's foreign policy views and saying Donald Trump does not belong anywhere near the nuclear button.
As commander-in-chief and leader of the free world, you don't get do-overs. You need to be able to get it right the first time.
Well, this sets the background for the Wisconsin primary next week, which is shaping up to be fascinating. There are new signs that the Stop Trump movement is actually getting much stronger, particularly in that state. Not only does the latest poll out of Wisconsin show Ted Cruz has a 10-point lead over Donald Trump, the Marquette University survey shows 70% of Wisconsin voters view Trump unfavorably. 70%. That's compared to 49% for Senator Cruz and 23% for John Kasich. Now a pro-Trump super PAC, yes, a pro-Trump super PAC is arguing that Donald Trump is still the best choice, even if he's not the most popular.
Sure, I get some grief when I say I'm voting for Donald Trump. But you know what? I want to protect my family. Paris, San Bernardino, and now Brussels. I want a president that will keep us safe. We need to control our borders and stop letting in dangerous people. Trump will do that.
Well, that ad is set to run in Wisconsin ahead of the vote on Tuesday, a day Donald Trump's critics say could reshape the entire race. It's the last GOP primary for 2 weeks, and Trump's rivals argue a win there could give him plenty of time to build momentum. We have Team Fox coverage this afternoon. The Fox Business Network's Adam Shapiro is with us, and we'll get to him in just a second. But first, let's get to Carl Cameron, who's live in D.C. Tell us what you can about this RNC meeting, Carl.
Well, it wasn't supposed to happen, and it wasn't certainly on the schedule, and it wasn't what Donald Trump was telling people in Wisconsin all week. He's been saying on the stump out there to a number of audiences that he was going to spend every single day in Wisconsin and campaign every single day in Wisconsin right up until the Tuesday Wisconsin primary. And this morning he showed up here in D.C., not just to meet with Reince Priebus, but also to meet with his just recently formed team of foreign policy advisors. And, of course, as you pointed out, Trump ran into some problems when he suggested that it was time perhaps for Japan and even Saudi Arabia and South Korea to get their own nuclear capability so that the U.S. wouldn't have to be the world's policeman and particularly guard them. As it happens, there's a nuclear non-proliferation summit going on with world leaders here in Washington, D.C., and the White House has jumped in on that. This is a catastrophic idea. Kasich and Cruz have all said that this is just another example of Trump proving to everybody that he's really not suitable for the presidency and doesn't really know what he's talking about.
Well, all of a sudden, Donald Trump's not on the campaign trail. Ted Cruz is not on the campaign trail today, which leaves Kasich to really, I don't know, do whatever he can do.
Well, he's in New York today, and he'll spend some time in Pennsylvania as well. New York votes 2 weeks after Wisconsin, Pennsylvania a little bit after that. And there's a whole bunch of East Coast states coming up where Kasich believes that he can begin to start winning. He's only got one W in his column, and that's, of course, his home state of Ohio. And if he has any hope of really being a force at an open convention, he needs to win some more states, and New York's one of them. While he was there, he held a news conference, and he went after Trump again for not just the abortion comments, but the nuclear proliferation aspect of things. And there's a pro-Kasich super PAC out there that is running an ad against not Donald Trump, but Ted Cruz. Kasich realizes he's got to start going against Cruz as well. They've got this sort of overlapping mutual agenda in Wisconsin to try to bring Trump down, but after that, Kasich's got to win. Take a look at this, fried not by Kasich's campaign, but by the super PAC that supports him, going after Ted Cruz, suggesting that he's got a Pinocchio problem, and watch what happens with his nose.
His TV ad about John Kasich? Lie. Stations had to pull it off the air. If Ted Cruz's mouth is moving, he's lying.
The ad actually begins with the pro-Kasich super PAC using Donald Trump's word for Ted Cruz, Lion Ted. Pretty tough stuff, and it gives you an example of Kasich, who has been priding himself on running a positive campaign, now beginning to show a little bit of knuckles. For years, people have said that John Kasich, while an effective legislator and governor, he does tend to rankle some nerves and some tempers, and we may be beginning to see a little bit of that as he realizes it's time to get feisty with Cruz and Trump.
This Stop Trump movement has not been, I would say, very successful in many places, yet Wisconsin is the outlier on that. I know that there are a number of factors. Could you help our viewers understand why it seems to be working there?
Sure. Well, Wisconsin's got a long history of very, very activist politics with a cordial Midwestern sensibility and civility and hospitality. They don't mind throwing sharp elbows and tough rhetoric, but they like to do it with a calmer voice. And whether it's Governor Scott Walker, who when he was briefly a candidate used to say, look, I'm the average guy, I'm the epitome of the average guy, and Paul Ryan and Reince Priebus, these are all very, very powerful Washington establishment Republicans from Wisconsin, and they're not known for particularly sharp elbows. They're tough politicians, but they don't do it with the type of loud rhetoric and name-calling that Trump is now famous for. And so that's part of it. For whether it's from Scott Walker, who has endorsed Ted Cruz, to a host of conservative, local Wisconsin talk radio, conservative talk show hosts, they have all sort of aligned against Trump in large measure because they don't like his tone, they don't like his demeanor. While they disagree with his policies in many instances and they think that he's not prepared, they also just don't like what he does to politics. They think it makes it too toxic, and badgers all over the state have been applauding that kind of a posture, with the exception of those who go to the Trump events, and they're still as feisty as ever, Shep.
Carl, thanks very much.